Shalom, shalom. Kahala Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone and Well, and salutations to the hopeful elect all over the earth, pushing the word in the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai in faith and sincerity and truth. This is Ira from Great Millstone, Wisconsin, and today's lesson is going to be entitled Pride Will Get You Killed. And the reason for this lesson, I was just thinking in the spirit, thinking about, how the scriptures say, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. And when we look out into the world, we look at pride as a marker of, those that are against the Most High, but furthermore, you look inward at yourself and you look into the nation of Israel and you see that 2/3 of our people are also going to be put to death because of their pride as well, because when you read in Sirach, the 10th chapter and 12th verse tells you that pride is the beginning of departing from the Lord. That's that separation point. I always call pride a gateway demon, because through that pride demon, all the other demons come right through, I think, through the spirit, pride is the demon that opens those portals for the other demons, thinking that you're higher than what you really are in the spirit of the Lord, not really thinking about the Lord, but thinking about yourself, which in all actuality is where you find yourself in grave danger with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So I'm going to hop right into it. This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 12. It says, the beginning of pride is when one departeth from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his maker, right? Because now you're not thinking about the Lord. You're thinking about yourself and what you've done, what you've accomplished, or what you're trying to accomplish in the world. Instead of meditating upon the Lord, as it says in Joshua, the first chapter, meditate upon the law, and these laws shall not depart from thy mouth. Then thou shalt have good success. Roughly paraphrasing, But most of the time, especially, I'm not even talking about the other nations at this moment. I'm talking about Jake. Most of the time, you have Jake that'll remove themselves from thinking about the Lord and think only of themselves because they're in their flesh. Verse 13, it says, for pride is the beginning of sin. See, this is why I call pride a gateway demon. It says, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination, right? Because everything after that pride demon, everything else is just going to start becoming more wicked and more abominable, because you start thinking that you can do things against the Lord and he won't do anything about it, And it's the same mentality that Esau and the other nations have as well. This is why 2/3 of Jake are going to die the same fate, or going to, suffer the same fate as Esau and the other nations, It says, and therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. See, the Lord doesn't have to tell you when he's going to destroy you, man. A lot of times, Jake think that, because they're not getting caught doing things, like Sirach 8:11 says, because the evil work is, because judgment is executed speedily, So they think that these things won't happen to them. And so they commit more abominations, until one day the Lord just he just had enough, It says, the Lord has cast down the thrones of proud princes and set up the meek in their stead, And going back to Jake and the truth, you want to be prideful, you want to be that guy, you want to be that dude, you want to be the one, you want to be Neo, the Lord can move you out the way and set someone else up in your place, that has a more meek spirit than you have, Now going down to the other nations, verse 15, it says, the Lord hath plucked up the roots of the proud nations and planted the lowly in their place. And this is the reason for the overturning of the world, man. The Lord's going to pluck out the other nations, Esau chiefly, and plant Israel in their place, That's it for this scripture. This is going further than, it's going to read further than what I wanted. But going into Proverbs 16:18, it says, pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall, So pride goeth before destruction. So you want to be prideful in the Lord and you want to, rebel, because that's what pride is. Pride is the essence of rebellion, You know, you're going to be destroyed, man. And in haughty spirit before a fall, you think you're mightier than everyone else, mightier than everything else. The Lord can destroy you for having this type of spirit, So you should be in fear of having anything to do with pride. There's nothing wrong with having your confidence or your pride in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's where your pride should be. But having inflated self-confidence, thinking that you can be something or you can do something without the Lord, that is going to be a cause for destruction. It says, better it is to be a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud, right? Because the meek shall inherit the earth, so eventually everything that you see here is temporal, so you rather be proud and divide the spoil with the other prideful men on the earth. But what's coming is going to be even greater, and that's only coming to the meek. See, people that are proud, they can't see past themselves. They can't really see the future either. All they care about is what right now. And so when we look out into Israel, right, and we see ISUBCAN, we see IUIC, and the pride that has been trickled down from their leaders to their congregation, this is explaining. This is describing men like that. It says, "He that handleth a matter wisely shall find good, and whoso trusteth in the Lord, happy is he." And that's what this is about, trusting in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, not in ourselves, And we have multiple examples of the pride, pride going before destruction, man. One chief example that comes to mind is Eleazar, in Second Esdras. I'm sorry. This is not supposed to be here. This is supposed to be 2nd Maccabees 6. So I can bear with me for a second. Or Salakia. Yep, 1st Maccabees, Salakia. So again, one of the examples that comes to mind is Eleazar in 1st Maccabees chapter 6. In the 43rd verse. Because as they were fighting, as Judas and his brethren, they were fighting against Antiochus, or they were fighting against an army or a battalion of Antiochus, and Eleazar, being prideful, decided to do something that was against, was against the Lord's order. This is 1st Maccabees chapter 6, verse 43. It says, "Eleazar also, surnamed Severin, perceiving that one of the beasts armed with royal harness was higher than all the rest, and supposing that the king was upon him." So he thought Antiochus was upon this elephant. And usually he would be correct. Usually he would be correct, because usually in ancient battle, the biggest battle beast that's arrayed in all type of majestic armor and things of that nature. Usually the head of the army or the king would be on this this battle beast. Whether it be an elephant, whether it be a huge rhinoceros, or whether it be a type of horse. It says, "Put himself in jeopardy." See, he risked his life, to the end he might deliver his people. Right, but this really wasn't the main reason. Yes, this would be a side effect. It says, "And get him a perpetual name." This is the reason why he did what he did. This is why he decided to risk his life, because he wanted a perpetual name. He wanted to be immortal, so to speak. He wanted to be talked about. He wanted to be famed. And this is what pride will do to you. Pride will have you wanting fame, and to get fame, A lot of people, most people do things that they wouldn't otherwise do, to get fame. A lot of times these people do whatever they need to do to have their name up in lights. Apostle Gabar always mentions the word fame, in Italian is fame, which means to be hungry, and he was hungry for fame, man, for to have a name about himself. It says, wherefore he ran upon him courageously through the midst of the battle, slaying on the right hand and on the left, so that they were divided from him on both sides. You know how Jake get when when they in battle. Jake start getting busy. And the more busy Jake gets, the more amped up they get. Everybody, I don't know, bros have been in fights and things of that nature. Bros see, watch MMA and boxing. You know what I'm saying? You see how hype Jake gets. So he running through the crowd doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? And the more men that he slays, the more hype he's getting. Which he's ultimately, this is him being deceived. It says, which done, he crept under the elephant and thrust him under. See, he didn't think this plan all the way through. He just thought about the fame that he would get if he were to slay this beast. It says he crept under the elephant and thrust him under and slew him. Whereupon the elephant fell down upon him, and there he died. See, he didn't think that plan all the way through. He gave into his flesh. So he died in that moment, trying to get a perpetual name about himself. Going back to Proverbs 16 and 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall. And that's what happened to this man. This is Romans chapter 8, verse 6 says, for to be carnally minded is death. And he got put to death. It says, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because you're thinking upon the Most High. You're thinking in the Spirit and praying to the Lord. And having counsel with the Lord before you do, before you perform any acts in life. You'll have a more sound judgment. It says, because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, meaning hatred, for it is not subject to the law of the Most High, right? Because it's subject to the law of the flesh, and that's exactly what Eleazar was doing. He was feeding his flesh, along with the next example that I'm going to present, it says neither indeed can be, right? Because all in all, carnal mind is pride, man. And it's the beginning. In the beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High. It says, so then they that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High. So if you're giving provision to the flesh, you can't please the Most High. You're gonna fall farther and farther away from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai until He destroys you. And this is also what happened in this example in Acts chapter 5. And I want to get straight to the point. This is Acts 5 and 36. And the background of the story is, Peter was imprisoned, and Gamaliel, was giving examples of men that their agendas came to naught because it wasn't of the Most High, and really it was a case that was made technically for Peter to get released, This is so I'm gonna go right back into it. This is Acts chapter 5 verse 36. It says, for before these days rose up Thaddeus, boasting himself to be somebody. See, here's that pride right off the bat. To whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves. Right. So he got a bunch of men with him, right? Who was slain, and all, as many as obeyed him, were scattered and brought to naught. So these guys tried to take on the Roman Empire with, 401 men. It says about 400, so maybe it was 395, what I'm saying? But the number really doesn't matter. What matters is that Thaddeus heaped up disciples unto himself, and got men that were like-minded in pride, just like himself, and they were destroyed, because they didn't know what they were getting into, and they did not take heed to the prophecies of the Lord, which got them destroyed. It says, and after this man rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. He also perished. and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. You know, so they were destroyed as well, man. You know, because it wasn't time to rise up against the Roman Empire at this time, man. You know, if they were to wait for prophecy, you know, and wait upon the Lord, you know, they would know where their place was, you know, in this time. But when you have pride on you, you don't care about any of that. All you care about is how you feel, what you think, and what you think you can do, you know. It says, but if it, I'm gonna start at verse 38. Sorry. It says, and now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. Right? Talking about Peter, you know. And the disciples says, for if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. Right? Just like Eleazar here in 1 Maccabees 6, you know, Judas of Galilee and Thaddeus. You know, this counsel was of men, you know, so it came to naught. It says, but if it be of the Most High, ye cannot overthrow it, lest happily ye be fought even to fight against the Most High, you know. And come to find out that the counsel of Peter and the disciples came directly from Yahweh Shai, you know, and it was of the Most High. So everyone else were seen to fight against the Most High, you know. See, this is what happens when you don't take matters into your own hands, you know, and you rely on Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you know. But, you know, and reading the rest of the chapter, you know, Peter got released, you know. But this is the last scripture here. This is Galatians 6:3. It says, for if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself, you know. And that's exactly what happened with Judas, with Judas of Galilee, you know, with Eleazar. You know, they thought themselves to be something when they were really nothing in the eyes of the Lord, you know, but mere tools and vessels, you know, and they deceived themselves so much so that they got put to death, you know, because they didn't understand their ability and they didn't understand their place in the Lord's, you know, in the Lord's movie, so to speak, you know. So yeah, these are just some examples that I thought of, you know, to you know, combat that pride demon. You know, pride will get you killed. You know, we don't have any time for pride in this ministry. You know, have any time to, you know, to not be meek in this ministry. You know, because it can be the difference between life and death. You know, and we're coming up to a time that's going to be like no other, where we need spiritual discretion. You know, and we need to get rid ourselves of this pride, so that way we can live, you know, for Yahweh Shai and ultimately obtain the kingdom, you know. So with that, you know, I hope you, Akiam and Akwath, were edified in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. I want to give all praises, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of great Milsom and well, and salutations to the hopeful elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing the word and pushing the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai in truth and in sincerity. Shalom.